The Private Label Pod with your host Paul Mooney, brought to you by Private Label People.
You just listen and leave the rest up to us.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Private Label Podcast. I'm your host Paul Mooney. Here is a very short episode for you to tune into, something that has been brought up recently. That is people's frustrations around Amazon support. So we put it to Robert to get his thoughts.
Get involved, have your say, ask us a question, or leave us a voice message by heading on over to privatelabelpeople.com/podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the podcast, everybody. I've got Robert here with me today. Robert, you doing well?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Doing good, yeah. Absolutely fine and dandy. We're going to do a selection of wee bite-sized podcasts. Wee means small, if anybody doesn't know. I think that word has basically transcended the earth, though, so everybody should know that now.
Yeah, it is one of those ones that people always kind of take the hand out of people from Northern Ireland on. We say we say we as in W-E-E before a lot of things. And
we do.
We do. And it does not necessarily mean small. It's a bit of a filler word a lot of times. So lock iron is a wee lock, even though it is far from small. We will say things like that all the time.
A wee trip down to the seaside.
Yeah, which makes absolutely zero sense to anybody outside these four walls.
There you go. If you didn't know, that's what we means in our part of the world. We're just going to do a little short segment on something that came up recently on one of the calls, and that's Amazon's treatment of sellers. And about 60% of the sales at Amazon now come from independent sellers. So you would think they would treat that base of people quite well, but there seems to be a lot of frustration from some people and some of our members in regards to how Amazon deal with their queries and the time that it takes. You'll have a lot of experience of that. But what's your thoughts on it?
60% and growing all the time. Just to take on that stat. Whenever I started selling on Amazon, it was 0%, okay. 0.01. I was at the start of the marketplace, as it was called, where third-party sellers, businesses, individuals could sell their own products on Amazon to Amazon's customers. And I think part of what I've just said there is actually quite important, which is Amazon's customers. So Amazon created the platform. All of the customers on the platform are Amazon's. They're not and never have been any one of those sellers' customers. But yes, it's true. And Amazon, you could look at it and say that it does not have a great track record of treating their sellers well. And they can be very difficult to deal with. And seller support, we see it all the time, people talking about, I raised this case and it was completely legitimate and it just got shut down. And one that we experienced in-house recently was a setting on Amazon where inside Seller Central, where they were telling the guys who I deal with, they were telling them to delete out that user and everything will be back to normal, but there was no delete button and just closed the case. Had to be reopened again. They told them exactly the same thing again, closed the case, and then reopened the case again, and all of a sudden now there wasn't a delete button, there was an edit button, but you couldn't delete, and so on and so forth it goes. And I think there's a certain element, and it's not calling out any sellers or whatever else, but I do think that we've immediately got our back up because there's a problem. And we then go to Amazon and we expect them to magically click their fingers and our problem has gone away. And then we also kind of back that up in our own minds emotionally with, I'm paying your wages. It's like, I'm paying you to sell. And it's like, but because of that 60%, they have any number of sellers. So you are always small. I'm not saying that it's right, but I am also saying that I feel that we go into those conversations with Amazon maybe from a little bit of victimhood mentality, and we don't treat it and we don't address it the way that it should.
Yeah, I would say you're not far wrong. And I think when you call any call centre and you speak to call handlers, nothing springs to mind with me where you have been treated exactly the way you want to be treated, and you've got to the crux of the problem straight away, and you've got the help that you're really looking for. Nothing gets solved particularly easily. So
there is one exception to that rule, Paul. American Express.
Oh,
big shout out to American Express, not sponsors of the show. Customer service is unparalleled. I've never spoken to any organisation like American Express. So Amazon, Jeff, if you're listening, which clearly you are, you're a listener of this show, get more people like American Express's customer support into seller support of Amazon.
There you go. I think North America usually do it quite well. We in the UK are used to it not being so great, but yes, Amazon have a little bit of work to do. So over to you, Jeff. And
I think whenever you take that on, as you say, like at the end of the day, it is a call centre, and you are speaking. Number one, you may be speaking to a computer, or at least that person who's getting it is running your request through a computer, and something is then coming back, and it's getting shut. It's getting shut down. You're not speaking to another seller or somebody with seller experience or somebody with the sometimes exasperation of the situation. You're speaking to somebody in a call center. So whenever you go into that conversation, I would say make sure you line out the problem. Right? Line it out in as much black and white as you possibly can. And then have the expectation that it's going to be rejected more than once. But then what you've got to do is you've got to then re-back that up. And if you go in with the expectation where you're lining everything out, all of that work, it's not wasted because you can use it the next time, but then you're going to follow it back up again. And if you're right, then stand by your conviction. Right? Don't get abusive. Don't get nasty. Don't get exasperated. Just be really, really factual, really, really logical, and then keep coming back to them. Because once you solve the problem, and also 9 out of 10 times the problem does get solved the right way, it just takes time. And it's frustrating. There's no doubt about it. It can stop your business. It can stop revenue coming in. It can affect cash flow. It can impact all of these things. But how long do you want it to impact those things for? Forever or for a couple of weeks? And there's not an option C, which is I don't want it to happen. It's one of those two, and I know which one I pick every single time, Paul.
Well, some good points. I think really the three things I take from that are be organised, be resolute, and be patient, and you will get the answers. And
don't catastrophize. To leave it on this today, it's like we have this thing where we will the panic button almost comes around with us 24/7. We put it in our backpacks, we put it in our briefcases or whatever else, we put it in our pocket, and we're just hovering over that red button, ready to press panic at every single stage. Again, take a breath, just relax, because whenever you press that panic button, all bets are off. Everything is just going to go to that level. Try to remain level-headed. At times it's a challenge, but the old ideas and the old adages are perfect for this. Take a breath, count to 10, turn the computer off, turn it back on again, come back at it again with a nice, fresh, calm, logical approach, and all of those things will be your friend. Excellent. There you go, folks. As always, Robert, font of all knowledge on that. And if you need any help, of course, we're here for you, so get in touch with us. But thank you for listening.
Get involved, have your say, ask us a question, or leave us a voice message by heading on over to privatelabelpeople.com/podcast.
Thanks to Rob for covering that frustrating topic for us. Hopefully you can remain calm and resolute in getting to the solution you require. Until next time, thank you.